Okay, so how I would learn to code if I was starting again now. I would do exactly the same thing I did, just more of it. It's basically time in the saddle. But let me explain a bit more. So I thought it might be interesting for me to do my own take on this topic. There's quite a few videos around talking about this sort of thing, so I thought, I'd throw my 2 pence in. So here it is. Here's the hot take. So write code, break it, fix it. That's basically what you need to do. Like I said, time in the saddle, you need to be writing code as much as you can so you understand it quicker, more, and easier. So let's go into a bit more detail before I move on to a bit more kind of like learning stuff. Basically, there are no shortcuts. You can't magically do this course and know everything. It just doesn't work like that. There is so much to learn. It can be off-putting, but don't let it put you off, if that makes sense. So some people learn quickly, some people slowly, and some people say they've done it in 3 months, other people took 12 months, some people never really get there, which is a shame, really. But if someone says they learn to code in 3 months, take that with a pinch of salt, because you can only really get so much information in. They obviously got to learning. They obviously learned up to a point that they were happy with. So let's blast through a few quick tips before we move on to a bit more kind of like how learning and stuff like that. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. So Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of great classes for you to up-level your skills and really dive deep into your own creativity. I've been using Skillshare for a while now, and the thing that I love the most is the fact that it lets me keep on top of all of those extra soft skills that are required for the industry that I work in. It lets me stay on top of my video skills, my production, my video editing, my photography, and even my talking in front of the camera. This week I've been watching Document Your Life: 4 Methods to Live More Intentionally by Nathaniel Drew. So Nathaniel is a content creator who I've been following for a really long time now. I love his video style and the way that he presents the information, and in this class I found it really interesting about how he talks about how to become much more self-aware by documenting your own life. If you want to try Skillshare, use my link in the description below. So the first 1,000 people who use that link will get 1 month free to Skillshare. So thank you again, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. The first one is don't stress over the language. Doesn't really matter. Pick one that you like the look of and stick with it. That's the main point. Don't chop and change at the beginning. So once you've learned one language, it's so much easier to learn another one because you understand how the core concepts and programming works. If you're not sure which one to pick, JavaScript or Python, one of those two is your best bet. So the second thing is to make sure you keep it simple to start with. So like you can't run before you walk, etc., etc. But make sure you have some kind of goal in mind. And this ties back to the first point I just made, is that decide what it is that you would like to do. And even if you're not sure, pick something and kind of work towards that, because I find that if you have an end goal in mind, it's easier to focus rather than just stumbling around through loads of different things. Like imagine it like there's a forest and you have a path in front of you and you can follow that path to the end, rather than there's no path and you just keep walking around and around in circles. Kind of like that, I suppose. Maybe. The third point is to organize your learning. Get in the habit of creating folders for things and having your virtual environment sorted, writing out within your learning folder. If you're following a tutorial, make a folder called that, write your code in your file, in your whatever file, and then make yourself a requirements.txt if you're using Python, which is what I do, and a readme file. So you can say, hey, this is what I was doing in this one, this is what I was doing in that one. Makes it so much easier when you want to go back and check it. So let's say you get to a point where you are working with Python and you've learned all about dictionaries. If you get lost, you don't have to go back to whatever learning material you were doing or Google. You can go back to your own material that you did, and you can see your own notes. It just makes it so much easier. Number 4, I guess, whenever you feel comfortable, make sure you learn about Git and start posting stuff to your own GitHub or GitLab or whatever, because again, that keeps that organization and it keeps it all available. So if you, work on a different computer or whatever, it just makes it so much easier for you. And the last couple of points is you're never going to stop learning with programming and coding. There's always something new to learn, so get used to it and try and hold yourself responsible in a bit of a way. Don't just like, the most I've learned on certain subjects in one go is because I had a job that needed to use it to do it. So I had to learn it, no choice. Okay, so I'm going to go story time a little bit, and hopefully you enjoy this. So when I was a kid, I wanted to learn how to play guitar. You'll have seen I've got guitars around the place. My friend played drums, and we were going to start a rock band and become super famous, obviously. Now, this was all well and good until one summer, my friend who played drums wanted to learn guitar as well and was asking me for advice. So I did the best I could, showed him some stuff, and then we kind of like went on our summer holidays. And at the end of it, my friend came back a much better guitarist than I was. In the space of a few short months, he had put in concentrated, high, good practice and was better than me from the end. In that summer, I sat on my arse and played Half-Life. So there you go. So the point of this is to try to get you to understand that it's about time in the saddle, i.e. doing more and more practice, but also doing good practice. So my friend who was learning guitar wasn't just playing the same things over and over and over again, writing the same code over and over again. He was constantly challenging himself. So learning to play the same things quicker, faster, more accurately, then moving on to something else when he could do that, and generally scaling it up. Learning about new things, learning about how they work will generally push your learning further and faster, much, much quicker. The point is that it's time in the saddle plus learning in a properly structured way that will make you a better programmer faster, just like my friend did with the guitar. So if you were to write the same basic app over and over and over again, you're not challenging yourself, you're not really going to be learning anything else new and interesting. But if you can slowly implement new features into that as you go, then you can begin to learn so much more and more. So let's take that one example. Let's say we've made ourselves a really basic application that does a few specific things. Let's say we now want to add in a new feature that involves task management. Well, that's a whole new thing, task management, that we need to learn about and how we're going to implement it into our program. So we not only have to learn about that new piece of tech that we're going to be using, but also how it's going to work with what we already know, plus the problem solving that comes with it to actually implement it in the way that we want to. So it is true that you will have to just kind of plow through the basics at the beginning, but it's basically just time that needs to be served. Hopefully it will be new and interesting to you, so it won't be too much of a burden, but you have to get past that point so you can actually carry on building and writing new stuff to further your learning. I personally like beginner projects around APIs, web scraping, stuff like that, because I find that it is really super scalable and also could be relatable and usable for you. Go back to my point about accountability and making yourself responsible. You could actually quite easily, with the right APIs, build yourself something that you might actually use, which is kind of going to give you that extra oomph to get it finished. You need to start working on your own projects. You need to get out of that tutorial bit where you kind of get stuck, as we all have done and we all do, and that comes from someone that does coding tutorials online. So I would say as much time as you can give it each day. So yeah, basically that's it. That's what I would do if I was going to learn to code again. The same, but more, better and structured. And also my friend doesn't play guitar anymore, so I'm better than him now again. So there we go. Thanks for watching.